Take them!
So at the beginning, I was given a block mesh by design, and it followed a very different gameplay than what ended up actually being in the game. The original idea was for a flashback where you were actually played as Henry Avery during his battle against the Gunsway, which is where he got most of his fame and most of his treasure. So the gameplay space had to take place on a very large, flat, open area, so we could have lots of NPCs, lots of action. The idea was to actually have the entire ship be a playable game space, so you had to be able to climb on the rigging, climb up all over the place. It was going to be crazy. And to top it all off, it was going to be destructible. So like all good things at Naughty Dog, it was cut. So because it got cut, we ended up having to move it into a cave. And we spent about 3 months on it, and what I literally just did was I just took the ship that I had just made, dropped it in this level, and I started working first thing on the rigging, because that was what I just spent most of my time working on, and wanted to make sure that it came across still, even in the wrecked version. And so it was relatively easy for me. I think Heather had the tougher job of having to scrape the entire deck of all of its paint. So that was a bit tough.
A little bit of rework.
Yeah, a little rework. So at this point, though, we also weren't even sure that the level was going to make it into the game, even in this state. So we quickly were moved on to other levels. So about after a year of that, we ended up going back to the Fancy. It finally got back into the game. Woo! And because we were so close to the end, I think it was within a month, we ended up trying to use as much of the stuff we'd already had as possible. And what you're seeing here is actually the original Fancy stripped down of all of its little doodads, and we're using it right as the block mesh itself. So we didn't even go for blocks. We went straight for the actual chip itself. So the biggest challenges in the biggest changes that were made to the ship were to gameplay. The original gameplay, of course, was supposed to be this epic battle on the deck, and so it now changed into more of a traversal area. So we ended up having to change a lot of that deck space to really match with what we were going for.